I am alive. Hopefully, hopefully audio is good. I'm using some of my AirPods today because I've noticed the audio hasn't seemed to be so great. I thought I would try these. Maybe this will improve it. Hopefully, it's coming through loud and clear. Just wondering, is anybody gonna show up today? Twould be nice if someone would be on there. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Testing, testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm confused right now. A little confused. I think, therefore I am. I'm gonna try something here, real quick, like. Anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? I'm just checking the feed here. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anybody in the chat, so anyhow, oh hey, there's Jolie. I see Jolie in there. Let me just try something here real quick. I'm gonna shut this off. Let me shut off. So anyhow, I'm in Susanville today, Susanville, California, and I'm in a hotel room. Actually, it's a motel to be more accurate. And I got here Monday night, or actually Sunday night, because I had a delivery here. I had a delivery on Monday morning, and then I forego the I was wearing these because I just thought that might improve the audio. I don't know, maybe it's not working because I noticed it seemed like the audio wasn't so good on the last couple of videos. So I thought maybe this would make the audio better. I don't know. So anyhow, I'm just here. Here's a view from my room. You can see a lot of shutters here, and it's kind of cloudy. And it was when I came in on Monday. This place was full of smoke because there's a bunch of fires up in the mountains all around here. And okay, thanks, Joey. Uh, now today it just looks kind of cloudy, um, but it's the fires are still going on. So as far as I know, but it's just been pretty bad up here with the fires. Just kind of experimenting here. Yeah, I'm just in the room here. Had breakfast, got my coffee, and I'm gonna be taking off here in a little bit. So I check in, see how everybody's doing, see what's going on with your day. Um, and I was trying to see what the setup is kind of a weird setup. I'm on the I do the live stream from my iPad, but I really don't see the chat. It doesn't really show up. So I thought I would watch on my iPhone, the broadcast, and the chat does seem to show up a little bit better, but it is on a bit of a delay. So it's all weird. It's all weird stuff. Um, it's all foreign to me. So anyhow, here we are, Tuesday. Things going on in the world. What's going on in the world today? We got fires. Oh, look, I've got a little roommate here. You can see, look at, it's like he's down in there like a wasp or something, some type of a thing. And I kind of shut those shutters all night long to keep him trapped in there. And I thought maybe he'll just die or something because I don't know, I didn't want to like mess with trying to get him. But he just seems to be hanging on the window. There he is. See, whatever the hell that thing is. So I'm thinking, hey, as long as you stay there in the window and leave me the hell alone, then we'll get along just fine. He's trying to find a way out, but I don't know how to do that. So 90-degree temps up there. Uh, yeah. Let's see, Jolie, you're like in Indiana, I believe, right? So you guys got rain. I guess they just got rain in Vegas. I just left Vegas on Sunday, and I think we got a little bit of overnight rain then because my car looked like, and the truck and everything looked like it had been rained on. And then I heard they got a pretty good raining on yesterday. But up here in Susanville, I'm see, what am I, like 530 miles north of Las Vegas, and we haven't got any rain up here yet. They sure could use it because these fires are just raging up here all around these mountains and stuff. It'd be nice if that rain. It's nice for Vegas to get rain, but man, it would be nice to get it up here. The only kind of saving grace about this area is that at least like the high temperature, it gets up to about 100 degrees but at least at night it was dropping down into the 50s. That's a big drop. Such a big disparity. But it really it helps the fires and helps the people to get a break from the heat. The thing about Vegas and Phoenix and places like that is it'll stay 100 degrees all night long. It'll be 115, 120 during the day, or 112 or whatever, and then it'll barely break down, get below 100, and that sucks. I hate that's what I hate. But so like up here is nice, and temperature got up to 99. I think it's supposed to get to 100 today, but it'll drop down. The overnight low will be in the 60s. Like I say, the last couple of nights it's dipped down into up to the upper 50s. So that gives you a really nice break from the heat. And when and the firefighters, it helps the firefighters and everything else. So that's one good thing about up here as opposed to like Vegas or Phoenix or whatever, is those overnight lows, man. When it stays 100 degrees all night, that's just unbearable, pretty much. But I keep seeing that stupid bug, man, and it bugs me. And now I know why bugs are called bugs, because they bug you. Look at there he is. I do not like you. I do not like you. No, I do not like that thing. So hopefully he'll just stay over there. I do not need you to come into the room. You stay on your little window. Okay? Leave me the hell alone. So, anywho, so today I'm going to be leaving. I've got to go down to Stockton. It's about a couple hundred miles, I guess, from here. Pick up a load, and I'm taking it up to, see, where am I going? I'm going up to Sumner, Washington. I'll be dropping that load up there. Let's see, today is Tuesday. I think that's Thursday drop, and then I'm picking up a load just right out of there, taking it all the way back down to Southern California. I keep watching that bug. Um, and so I've got my next few loads, as long as they don't, get canceled. Sometimes that happens. I got my next few loads lined up. So I'll go down to LA area, drop a load down there, go out to Paris, pick up a load. Oh, and then just going up to Salt Lake. That's a nice run. That's not too bad of a run. Yeah, you see that bug? It's yucky, isn't it? Some type of a wasp, I think, or something. But I should get a discount on the room for having a bug in here. Anyhow, so that's what I'll be doing. Be running around up and down California and Oregon, Washington for the next few days, into next week. Hopefully everything will go okay. And I'm just kind of distracted right now. I got something going on. I don't know if I want to talk about it or not, but uh, my son's going through a thing, uh, uh, an illness thing, and it's kind of bugging me. It's on my mind. Kind of worried about that. So it's kind of hard to drive, uh, be on the road, be away from, you know, from your kid, and want to be with them, but uh, I got to work too. So hopefully everything will go okay though. So, and so that's the things that are on my mind right now. Just working and concerned about my son and everything. But uh, that's what we do, right? We just and hope for the best. So somewhere like and subscribe, and there's only, it says there's 3 people watching. So I see Jolie. I don't see anybody else. So, but whoever's out there, thanks for watching. Probably one of them is me, by the way, because I have the thing going, so I could watch the chat on here. Um, so that's kind of a cheat. I guess I'm kind of cheating a little bit. Um, so how's it back in Indiana there, Jolie? So you got some rain. It's been 90 degrees. Kind of, yeah, it's just it's kind of a scary thing that he's going through right now. But let's see how it works out. So let's see. Yesterday, I was listening to Hal on Hal Sparks' show. He's doing another one of those Trump rallies. Just gloomy days the last couple of days. Got the July gloom instead of June gloom. Like in I don't know, California a lot, we get the June gloom because it's a lot of kind of overcast days and stuff. But now we're almost in August already. I keep looking at that bug. He needs to be set free. Um, I've just been thinking about also. I don't know if you've seen The Handmaid's Tale, and I remember watching The Handmaid's Tale. I watched, all the seasons of it. That thing just fell. Um, and I think it's hard when you're watching that show. For me, anyhow, it was kind of hard to. Like, oh, how did that happen? Here's going to be some spoilers a little bit here. I might get a little bit spoilery. I'm just waiting to see if this is back on. I think it's back on. Okay, I guess I'm back. For some reason, it lost the connection. I don't know why it does that. Um, but okay, so yeah, so with A Handmaid's Tale, basically it's like this: the United States government pretty much gets overthrown, or at least big chunks of it, and they form a new country called Gilead, right? And so when you're watching it, I'm always thinking like, how could that even happen? How did that happen? How did the United States government get overthrown or by this authoritarian, you know, kind of Christo-fascist government? And so, if you had any doubts of that happening or how that happened, it's happening right now. Just look at the news. I mean, this is how Gilead becomes a reality. What we're seeing right now with these right-wing Christian nationalist fascists. Now I know like Hal likes to sort of dismiss that, I guess, and hopefully he's right that the Marjorie Taylor Greens and Lauren Boeberts of the world are just these fanatics that are hopefully on the outskirts, and hopefully they can be shut down pretty soon. Uh, there's a guy named Marcus Flowers. He's running against Marjorie Taylor Greene in their district there in Georgia. I would urge everyone, all 2 of my listeners here or whatever, of course, if you live in that district, vote for Marcus Flowers. Uh, promote Marcus Flowers, donate to his campaign. Anyone could. I've donated to his campaign, and I live in Nevada, so you could donate a few bucks to his campaign. Uh, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world, they need to be taken out of power. They need to be. She lives in this Colorado. I've driven through there on I sure dozens of times, and yeah, Hal does like to be optimistic, and that's the appeal. Yeah, and he does sort of talks you off the ledge. Yeah, and that's why I like him too, because it's so easy to just get caught up in all this shit and just think, oh my God, there's no way out of it. But so he'll talk you off the ledge, and he does it with facts too, and same logic. But anyway, I was thinking like, how hard would it be? People that live in California should start moving to Idaho or to western Colorado and to some of these places in Montana. It wouldn't take very much to start taking over these districts. Some of these places, they only have, like where Bobert lives, I don't know, there's probably only a few thousand people that even live in that district. There's nothing there. It's just all, sort of the western side coming out of the Rockies, and where that's at, it's just kind of like hills and stuff. It's not even like, it's not even pretty. And there's all kinds of these little, there's over 40 million people in California. What if 2 or 3 or 4 million of them kind of dispersed out into Montana and Idaho, and western Colorado and Utah? Utah, I think, is almost getting purple. I don't know. I mean, they're all Republicans, I guess, in office, most of them. But it seems like they had a really big boom or boon, sort of almost like a Silicon Valley type of thing going on in their I-15 corridor, which is basically from Provo up Ogden, well, probably more south of Salt Lake into the Provo area. There's so much building and such like tech companies moving in there, and I don't know. I got to think that, and hopefully, if they have more liberal leanings and progressive leanings and things like that. Hopefully those, and they're kind of young, 20s, 30s, 40s. So hopefully those people will start voting, and maybe they'll vote. Maybe they'll start voting for Democrats instead of all these, excuse me, Mitt Romneys and things. I mean, and what's the other one? Lee. Lee is a real. At least Romney, I don't like him, but at least I don't know, he's somewhat reasonable. But that Lee is a real. He comes off as reasonable, but he's your typical right wing nut job. So I moved to Nevada. I didn't do it for like political reasons. I did it because of my job, and uh, I guess in a way it was a political thing. And it was because of AB 5, and that was a law that was made by the Democrats. So the Democrats kind of screwed me in a way about this law that they made that was, I think, was well-meaning, but it was actually a really kind of fucked up law. And they had sort of a moratorium on it for the last couple of years, and they just recently, I think last week, uh, I don't know if it was the appellate court, I forget what court it was in, but they went ahead and uh, said that the law was good and would stand up. So now, but I'm glad I got out when I did. I got out 2 years ago, and I had to do that in order to save my own business, my own just. And I know that it'd be easy to say, "Oh, the Democrats." There's the Democrats, and I'm not happy about. I'm not really happy about that state legislator that made that sponsored that bill. I think it's an idiotic bill, AB 5. If you want to look it up, it's horrendous, and it's really screwed a lot of people, not just truck drivers, a lot of industries that are independent contractors. It really screws the independent contractors. And this person, I forget her name, I think it's Sanchez maybe, she's from San Diego area, for like basically Uber drivers from taking a Lyft or an Uber, and the Uber driver was complaining about, I don't know, not having enough breaks or not making enough money or not having insurance or not having like health insurance or some kind of bullshit. To me, Uber and Lyft, those are supposed to be just extra jobs. Those, and this driver was complaining to this legislator about it. So then she gets the grand idea, oh, I'm going to make this law where they have to have health insurance and they have to have this and that. No, it's so it, basically at the end of the day, by the time she made this law, it was like the law says that if you're an independent contractor, you cannot contract with a company that does the same work that you do. Okay, so in other words, I'm an independent contractor, and I contract with Schneider. Schneider is a trucking company, so they do the same work that I do. So in California, because of AB 5, I cannot live there. I cannot contract with a company that does the same work that I do. It makes no absolute sense to me whatsoever. And immediately, as soon as that law passed, like 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, Schneider said, "Hey, if you want to keep your contract, then you need to move to another state." And so that's why I moved to Vegas. And then it was right after that they did this. They were able to get some kind of moratorium. They were trying to figure out, you know, all the ramifications, because it wasn't just truck drivers. It was like paralegals. It was people who work in the entertainment industry, which is big in California, right? I mean, it was all kinds. It affected all kinds of people. So I don't know what they're all doing. People who didn't move out. I moved out, because and the reason that it was important to me, because yeah, I'm an independent contractor, and I could have canceled my or contract with Schneider, and I could have just went out on my own. But the thing is, I don't really know exactly how to do that. I mean, I know there's lots of paperwork involved as far as getting your working under your own authority, and like I've been working under Schneider's authority, and I like doing that because they're a big company and they handle so much for me, like my insurance on the truck, the insurance of the trailers, the insurance of the loads. They all, uh, you're sometimes hauling millions of dollars worth of freight, right? So, and yeah, I pay Schneider. It's like a few bucks a week for insurance, right? So it's just all that stuff that if I had gone out on my own, I'd have to do that all on me. And I guess it would be different if I was a guy who had been in the trucking industry, say, since my 20s, or maybe was a second generation truck driver, and I knew all the ins and outs of everything. But I'm not. I didn't. I just an owner operator. It was only 5 years. So I'm kind of new to all this. Um, and I'm just gonna get some tissue so you don't have to see my nose running. Um, so I mean, I've always been an employee. I've always been like as a truck driver, I've always been uh, you know, company driver. So I didn't feel comfortable with going out on my own, completely on my own. So it's nice to have that protection of the company that will pay for all those insurance things, especially, and pay for all they help handle all of your registration and everything else like that. So it's really handy and it's convenient. So if I'd gone on my own, I would have to all of a sudden become this super business owner that I'm really not, right? Uh, and I was paying off my truck at the time, and I had been paying off that truck. I bought it brand new in 2015, and so here was 2019, and I had about 5 more payments to go to pay off that truck, and it would have been in 2020, April of 2020, I believe. And so this is all happening in like the fall of 2019, where they're saying, hey, if you're not out by the end of the year in a different state, then we're going to have to just cut your contract. And so I was scrambling around thinking, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it was literally on December 31st, it was like New Year's Eve. I was in the DMV. It was open because I think it was a Friday. I was at the DMV in Las Vegas, Nevada. I finally had found a place, and I just switched over my CDL from California to Nevada on December 31st, 2019. That was the last day that I could do it and not lose my contract with Schneider. And it was so important to me because, like I said, I had 5 more payments to go to pay off that truck, and I'd been working so hard for 5 years to pay off that goddamn truck, and it was hard as hell, man, because the payments are so high on those trucks, and I didn't want to lose 5 years of that because if I couldn't make those payments, then I would have lost everything. I would have lost the truck. There was no forgiveness. There was no anything. It's like you just lose. They just repo the truck or whatever. So it was really a high stressful moment. So anyway, I got into Vegas, got into Nevada. I've been there, and it's all because of that stupid 5 law. I was born and raised in California, lived the first 59 years of my life in California, but because of some stupid state who thought she was doing some great thing for the gig workers, she fucked over truck drivers. She fucked over a whole bunch of different industries of people who are independent contractors that contract with people who do the same work that they do. Duh. Can you imagine that? And she thinks that she's doing, whoever that chick is, I used to know her name. I even left some nasty messages on her, some of her, I guess, her webpage somewhere. I remember just cussing her out because I said, hey, I'm a lifelong Democrat, but you're fucked. You're a fucking idiot. And I hope you lose. I hope you get voted out. I don't know if she's still in office or not, but as far as I'm concerned, she's a big C word. And just, as you can tell, just talking about it riles me up. Just thinking about it. It riles me up. But I'm in Vegas now. I kind of like Vegas, except for the heat. But it is kind of a cool place. I don't know if they can get that repealed because, like I said, they had a moratorium on it. So after that happened, after I got my place in Vegas, I went ahead and made the change, switched up DL and everything, because then they were appealing it. The trucking industries, there's several trucking industries, and all these different industries. I guess I don't know if it was a class action or what, but they were able to get into the courts and get some sort of a moratorium on it. And it just last week that moratorium ran out, and they said that the AB5 will hold up. So I don't know if there's any procedures from there that can go on, or if that was the final thing, if that was just it. I haven't really checked it. But yeah, it was a stupid law. Gavin Newsom, if you see this, I'm telling you right now, AB5 is a stupid idiot law, and you need to maybe Gavin Newsom. Well, I think Gavin Newsom was for it too. And I know all the right wingers. If any right wingers are going to watch this, they're going to go, "See, Democrats, they fuck over the workers or whatever." I think this is just a fluke. Like I say, it's a thing that it was like unintended consequences. Like the state legislator. She thought she was doing something really really good for these gig workers, you know, because the gig workers didn't have health insurance, and the gig workers uh, weren't making enough money, and they weren't being guaranteed hours, and so she's trying to make gig workers into like regular like a regular job. To me, a gig job is because I've thought about driving for Uber or Lyft, and I thought it'd be a great thing, and I like the flexibility, the idea of the flexibility, where I could just go home and I could just, or whenever I have some extra time, I could just go on the Lyft or the Uber app, the driver app, and turn it on and get some rides and make extra money. It's not about like, oh, you need to be guaranteed 40 hours a week. It's not like a regular job. It's supposed to be for extra income. You know, there are some things that you should just leave alone. I don't know. She was stupid. And they should have made carve outs. They should have made carve outs for truckers and for a lot of other industries. There should have been carve outs that weren't really gig related, because this all stemmed from the gig job, like Uber and Lyft, and even like Postmates and all that kind of stuff. And it should have been more specific to those type of jobs. If that's so, she was trying to help. She was trying to help them get, uh, better pay and better benefits and better health and more guarantees, I guess, of hours or whatever. Then it should have been specific to those gig industry jobs, not to truck drivers. We're not gig drivers, okay? This is not a gig. This is not a side hustle. I do this full time. I'm on the road 99.9% of the time. I'm hardly ever at home. This is not a gig job, you know? So that's all I got to say about that. AB5. AB5, you suck balls. Yep, you sure do. So anyhow, that's my rant on AB5. I was able to get some content in today. Yeah. Um, yeah, Democrats aren't perfect. They definitely make mistakes. Yeah, well, yeah. That's always been my motto, to choose the lesser of two evils. And not that I think that the Democratic Party is evil necessarily, but I do think we basically have two choices. So I'm going to choose the one that I think is going to be the best for me. And I've never in my life, ever, going back to 1980, when I first was able to vote, or actually I could vote in 78. I think I did vote because I turned 18 in 78. I think I did vote for some local stuff that went on, but my first presidential election was in 1980. Carter versus Reagan. I voted for Carter. There was no doubt. There was no point in my mind I was going to vote for Jimmy Carter. Voting for Ronald Reagan never even was a possibility for me. Never even entered my mind. For me, Ronald Reagan was a clown. Okay, and I was 18 years old and I could see that he was a clown. And then I hear all these people that are Democrats that said they voted for Reagan. What are you, fucking retarded? Fucking retards? And I'm sorry, I should say morons. That's another thing. We're not supposed to say retard anymore. And I understand that there are parents that have kids that have mental, disabilities, and that word has become a little derogative. And so I apologize for saying retard. I've said, well, I'll just change that to moron. So I should have said moron. What are you, morons? You people who voted for Reagan, you Democrats especially, you're a bunch of morons. There, but because I knew Reagan, he was governor of California. He'd been around. I remember in '70, I guess it was the '76 campaign. was running for president, and then he dropped out because he kind of early in the campaign because he wasn't doing very well. And I remember I can remember this pretty clear. I was driving in a car with my parents. Probably must have been in 75 or 76, whatever it was that he dropped out. We were driving in the mountains on the ride, just going for a ride. And I remember I was in the back seat, and they had the radio on. And I remember like the news was playing, and they said like Ronald Reagan announced that he's dropping out of the presidential campaign today. And I remember I just kind of laughed, and I just go, I was just shaking my head like, because I was just thinking like he shouldn't have been running in the first place. And I just said, I think I just said like kind of under my breath, I was like, Reagan's a clown. You're a clown. And that's when I was like 14, 15 years old or whatever. And my mom heard me say that, and she kind of went. She said to my dad while he was driving, she was like, she kind of laughed. I guess she thought it was funny that I said that, and she's like, "Yeah, John thinks that Reagan's a clown," and they kind of got a laugh out of that. And then 4 years later, he runs and he wins the goddamn presidency. Just think, you could kind of get into a rabbit hole here or something where I always think like, what if JFK had never been assassinated and he had 2 full terms? Just think how much, just from that alone, how much different things would be. And then from there, it's like, just think if Nixon hadn't been elected, because if JFK had not been assassinated and he had 2 full terms and he'd done all the great things he was going to do with equal rights and civil rights and probably labor rights and all that kind of stuff, and just improving our country, our infrastructure, keeping us on a good path, and then if it followed that up, I don't know if JFK hadn't been assassinated, I don't know if RFK would have run, because then it's like we don't need a dynasty with Kennedys, right? But then hopefully in '68, maybe would have been Humphrey. Humphrey was who eventually, after Robert was assassinated, Humphrey ended up winning the Democratic nomination, I believe, right? And then he lost to Nixon. So if JFK hadn't been assassinated, and if we could have just kept, there's no reason why we couldn't have kept Democrats the whole way through. We could have had 2 terms of Humphrey, probably 2 terms of Carter, and then after Carter, see, Clinton wasn't until, because we had that one Bush to '92. But I don't know if Clinton would have ran in '88 or not. But anyhow, I don't know what that means there, John Ryan. Someone say potato chip. But the Republicans have done, better we would be if we would have had Democrats the whole way through. Right? Well, why we shouldn't have, but people don't vote. People don't show up. They don't vote. And even though there are more Democrats than there are Republicans, there always has been in my lifetime, but they don't vote because whatever reason, I don't know what it is. People like to bitch about shit, but they don't like to vote, So then we get stuck with a Nixon. We get stuck with a Reagan. We get stuck with a W. We get stuck with a Trump. They're all despicable. Every single one of those I just named. They're all despicable and gross and really have no business being in a position of power, let alone the presidency, But it's in the past. Hopefully we can learn from our mistakes and stop letting these Republicans, run down our country. All this talk about, is Gavin Newsom going to run in 2024? How about we just worry about 2022. First of all, let's worry about that. Let's worry about keeping the House. Let's worry about keeping the Senate. Let's worry about picking up seats. Let's worry about making Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema irrelevant. That's what we need to be focusing on. Not is Joe Biden going to run in 2024? We're not even there yet. And regardless, you got to think vote blue no matter who, because we got to just keep winning elections, because elections have consequences. And as we've seen with all these Supreme Court picks that Trump was able to get, and now we see all this stripping of equal rights and reproductive rights, and on and on and on. So that's why I vote blue, even though that one Democrat really pissed me off in California at the state level. It's not going to be 100%. It's just like, in 2016, I liked Bernie. I voted for Bernie in the primary. And then as we got close to the general, and you could see that Hillary was going to win the nomination, I was completely 100% happy with that. Because, to be honest, I know Bernie is a self-described democratic socialist. Hillary would never call herself that. She probably, I don't know, she calls herself a moderate Democrat. I don't know if and a liberal, she wouldn't go as far as calling herself progressive, I don't think. But if you look at their policies and you look at the things that they've been in favor of, their ideology, it's not that far off from each other. They really aren't. And so I was completely on board and happy with Hillary being the nominee and being the next president. I thought she would have been a great president. As much as I like Bernie and I like his ideas and I like things he says and his speeches and everything else, and I would have voted for him in a heartbeat for president. But when Hillary won, I was completely 100% on board, and to this day, I'm sad. He was just a grifter, and simple. It was all about himself. He doesn't care about this country. The only thing he cares about this country is that, he can live here and spend his money here or whatever, but he doesn't really care. He's not a patriot. He's just a grifter and a user and a manipulator. In many ways, he's a moron, yes, but he's also a master manipulator. He knows, as far as the art of the deal, his expertise in the art of the deal is just in ass kissing to make the sale or to make the deal. That's what he does. He thinks he's buttering people up. That's why when he says, this guy's really good looking or whatever, that's his little sales thing where he tries to just butter up people. And he does that to his voters and to his base, That's all he's doing, is always trying to just butter people up so that they'll So the good news is he's gone, and we have a really good president now. We just need to give that president the support that he needs. So I'm going to end this show with, make sure you're registered to vote. Check your registration. Go to vote.org. Check your registration. Make sure. Always check it. Always be checking, because there's so many stories of people who have been voting for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they're kicked off the voting rolls. And then it's really hard to get back on, or they didn't do it on time and they couldn't vote and stuff like that. So make sure that you can vote. Check your voter registration. Go to vote.org and vote in blue. Now, Jolie says she loves Bernie. Came to Indiana University to speak, which is where you live, and your daughters went to hear him speak. They had to move the event outside because there were too many people. I know he had such big events. He came to during the campaign to Lancaster, California, which is where we lived at the time, and my kids. I was on the road, but my kids went and saw him, and they sent me some video. I think of it a little bit. He was at the fairgrounds there, and it was a packed fairgrounds building. And they went and saw him. And I don't even think I'm trying to think my kids were even old enough to vote yet. I think my son was, my daughter wasn't. And still, they really liked him, and they went and saw him and everything. So yeah, and I've always liked Bernie. He used to come on the Tom Hartman show way back. Was Brunch with Bernie. I used to listen to that, and that's where I first heard of Bernie. Really, it was through the Tom Hartman show. And I remember people would call in and say, "Hey, why don't you run for president, man?" And at first he would always be like, "No, no, not thinking about that or whatever." And I think eventually he probably heard that so many times he was like, maybe I should run for president. And by golly, he did, and he captured the attention of a lot of voters, a lot of people, and I think he's helped to, even though he didn't win, he didn't win in 2016, didn't win in 2020, but I think he has helped to move the Democratic Party at least one little sidestep to the left a little bit more, which is good to get, because that's where the American people are. If you look at the polling and everything, and people are for a lot of the issues that Bernie Sanders talks about. And we have a lot of people in the Democratic Party that are still kind of stuck in the 90s and the kind of the corporate Dem kind of thing. And I think Bernie has helped to at least move out of that a little bit. And so now what we need now is, like I said, to make cinema and Manchin irrelevant, and we need to pick up some seats in the Senate, and we need to keep the House. And here's my list. Here's my list of demands. Actually, these are my demands: get rid of the filibuster. It's stupid. It's idiotic. It's not constitutional. It's not even democratic. Let the chips fall where they may. You want to say that we have a democracy, democratic republic, and we adhere to democratic principles, then get rid of the filibuster. And if the Republicans are in power and they want to enact a bunch of crap, then let the chips fall where they may. So get rid of the goddamn filibuster. I would like to see the Electoral College be abolished. I know that takes a constitutional amendment to abolish it, but we've abolished things before. I don't see why we can't abolish this. I mean, other than the numbers, right? I mean, we have to get the support. We have to get the Democratic support, and the states and everything else. That's a big lift. That's a heavy lift, but I'd like to see that done away with. We need campaign finance reform. We need to get money out of politics as much as possible. At least overturn Citizens United. We need to get rid of dark money in the campaigns and all that kind of stuff. We need to make it so that our representatives, whether it's in the Senate or in the House, they can go and they can actually do some legislating instead of being dialing for dollars all day, every day. So those are kind of I think the main things, like money out of politics, in the filibuster, abolish the Electoral College, and then maybe we will get some things done. But the way it is, and I know Hal talks about incrementalism, and that's fine. I have nothing wrong with incrementalism because, we're a big group of people, 350 million people or whatever it is. And not everybody is on board with something at the same time. It's kind of like this big, giant centipede, just kind of going through things, and it takes a while. Like the head will see something and see something that's good, but the middle and the tail, they have to catch up, right? So I don't mind incrementalism, but what I don't like is when we get Republicans in power. It's not incrementalism. Then it's regressivism. It's de-evolution. It's taking too many steps backwards. I can go for little tiny forward steps as long as it's more moving forward. We're moving forward. But then if we're going to get stuck with 12 years of Reagan and Bush, then we're stagnant or we're going backwards. And then we're going to get 8 years of W, and it's the same thing. And we're almost destroying our economy under W. And then we get 4 years. Thank God we only had 4 years of Trump. That would have been the end of us, maybe. I don't know. So it just gets frustrating when a decade and a stagnation or steps backwards, and then you get to a point now we're in 2022 and you think, God, if we'd had Carter in there and we were doing solar programs and green renewable energy and really staying on that path from 1980, just think we might be 20 or 30 years ahead of schedule right now. So incrementalism is fine, but if we're just going to stay or move backwards, then that's not fine. So that's where I get frustrated. I think a lot of people get frustrated. But anyhow, yeah, I like Biden. I think he's a great president too. He's doing a good job. He's doing the best that he can with what he's got. So we need to give him more. We need to give him some support. Okay, so that's it for today. Please, if you're watching this, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to share it, that's fine. Get the word out. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursdays, schedule permitting, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll just come on here and shoot the shit. Talk about trucking stuff. We'll talk about politics. We'll talk about the weather. We'll talk about my runny nose, whatever. And we'll talk about the stupid bug that's in the window, Susanville. And with the up, I don't really have my little outro music that I like to play. I haven't really figured out how to do that, but I don't know. But from Susanville, California, I am going to go ahead and bid everyone adieu. Thanks for watching. There's that bug. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys Thursday at 9 a.m. From who knows where. It might be from a rest area along the road. Or it might be from a truck stop. Or yeah, that's right. It might even be a Walmart parking lot. All right. So, once again, from Susanville, I'm out. You guys have a good day. I'll see you next time.